Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart 84 in the latter half of September. Now one of my recent subscribers found came to me through an older video on pineapple guavas when I think I'd just got 3 of these named varieties in pots, in much smaller pots. I'd guess only about 6 inches, so probably about a gallon in size, about 5 litres, and he asked me if I could do an update video on them, on what they look if they're growing. And I'm thinking that video is probably, if not this spring, it's probably spring last year. So I said I'd do a video on my pineapple guava varieties for him, including updates on the ones that he saw in pots. Well, at least I think he saw in pots, because I can't remember which ones those particular 3 were. But I bought, I think there were 5 that came from France before Brexit, so therefore I must have got them prior to it must be January 21, I suppose. So I had them prior to that, when it was still easy to bring the plants in. So I thought they're probably about tripled in size since he saw that video. Now they're a little bit unpredictable. These are a little bit pot bound, and because of that they haven't flowered this year. I should really have repotted them in the spring into larger pots. So because of that, although they've put some growth on, I saw no flowers. But anyway, I thought I'd give a quick, for the people interested in Feijoas and pineapple guavas, and that gentleman, if he happens to see the video, this is an update on those smaller plants that I had at the time, and I will quickly show the ones that I've got in ground as well. So the first one of the 3 was this one here, which is Coolidge, which is, I believe, meant to be one of the few that are reasonably self-fertile. Not that it matters, because I've got about 8 varieties. It didn't grow at all early in summer, and it suddenly put out a burst of growth. I think, to be honest, I hadn't watered it enough, and I didn't realise how dry it was. And I gave it a couple of good soakings back in about August, and suddenly it's put out several inches of new growth. But of course I've missed the flowering season on it this year, so I won't make that mistake again. I'll be repotting these early in spring into much bigger pots, so we should get, as well as a burst of growth next year, they should all get flowers on them and possibly fruits. The one next to it, this variety here, is Apollo. Don't really know anything about the variety, although I have heard of it, and I've got an inkling I think it had 1 flower on it, but it hasn't set fruit, and even if it did, it's too late in the season, because these didn't flower until the end of August. This third one here is Marion, either Marion or Marianne, not too sure how it's the correct way of pronouncing it. Again, it's not a fruit I know anything about, and interestingly enough, this one had 1 flower on it, and if I can spot it, did set 1 very, very small fruit. Now we are in the latter half of September, but the fruits do normally grow through the whole of October and probably into November, so this may, if it doesn't get knocked off, get to an edible size by the time they're due to be ready. Now if I walk around here, I've got, you can just about see them, I've got 3 larger varieties in pots here. Again, badly root bound. I didn't repot them, should have done, it was a mistake. So I've got a Gemini, another Triumph, and another Mammoth, but none of them have produced flowers or fruits this year. So it's a lesson learned. You've got to keep on top of your plants' needs. So I think what I'll have to do is give them a light trim in spring, get them into much bigger pots, and we'll probably get flowers and possibly fruits next year. And then down here I have one here in pots which does have some fruits on it that are developing reasonably well, and I believe some of them will get to an edible size. I think it's got 2 or 3 fruits on it. It'll probably get to and should reach an edible size by the end of the season. And this one is, that's unique. And this one next to it, which I don't think set any fruits, although it had lots of flowers, this one next to it is Nikita. It's got a couple of fruits on it, but they're very small. so I don't think they'll get to an edible size, and probably didn't set early enough in the season, and it's in a container which is restricting it, which means that it's developing. Obviously the fruits are developing very slowly, so I don't think we'll see any edible fruits on that this year. It's Nikita. And if we just whiz over to the other side, should he still be watching this video, more interest in my in-ground ones. This is Mammoth. It's got plenty of fruits on it this year for the first time that it's fruited heavily. No shortage of fruits, which should be ready by November. They're looking pretty good. That's Mammoth. I also have one unknown seedling variety that frankly is absolute rubbish. I have been using it for cross-pollination, but it's very poor genetics. The flowers don't open properly, the fruits don't develop properly. I have had an edible golf ball size one off it before. It wasn't particularly sweet or juicy, and I think I'll be trying to get this one dug out this winter if I can, and move it to a pot, or possibly plant it somewhere in my parents' garden if I can find space as a decorative plant for them, as I don't need cross-pollinators anymore. And finally, I've also got a Triumph in ground, which again has reasonably good fruit development on it this year. They're a little bit smaller than Mammoth. They seem to have been stunted this year. It might be due to the dry summer we've had. They're certainly not as big as I thought they were in late September last year, but we've still got plenty of time for them to develop. And you can see these are slightly less, some of these are slightly less elongated than the Mammoth appears to be. That could be to do with which pollen's been used to pollinate them, possibly, rather than the normal characteristics of the fruit, because last year I thought this actually had slightly more elongated fruit, but it's got plenty on it, and I'm fairly sure I'll get some edible size ones by the end of the growing season. But that was for anybody interested in pineapple guavas and feijoas. Thought I'd run that quick video out, especially for that gentleman who asked. I'm assuming it's a gentleman, can't always tell from people's IDs, it may well be a young lady. But in any case, those are my in-ground ones, so that's what the plants look like when they get larger. And this is what they look like after 1 or 2 growing seasons in a container. And these, the Marion was potted up this year actually, which is why it's done so well, but the other 2 definitely need repotting in the spring into considerably bigger pots. So thank you. If you have watched the video, please give me a thumbs up. You can share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and anything I'm growing interests you, and remember to click on the bell if you'd like to get updated when new videos come out. I'll catch up with you all soon. Brett out for now.